There's a strange kind of silence spreading through the modern world. Not the silence of peace, but the silence that comes when something important disappears and no one knows what to replace it with. For centuries, meaning was not something people had to invent. It was given. You were born into a story, a structure, a purpose that existed before you arrived. Then a philosopher stood up and said something that sounded like an observation, but felt like an explosion. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "God is dead, and we have killed him." But here's what often gets missed. He wasn't celebrating. He was warning. In his famous passage, often called the Madman, a man runs into the marketplace with a lantern in daylight, searching for God. People laugh at him, and then he says something chilling. "Where is God? We have killed him, you and I. All of us are his murderers." And then comes the question that still hasn't been answered. What happens now? What happens when the highest source of meaning collapses? Here's the thing. When you remove a center, you don't create freedom. You create a vacuum. And a vacuum does not stay empty. It gets filled. Look around today. People still need meaning. They still need purpose. They still need something to organize their suffering. But instead of one shared center, we now have fragments. Identity, ideology, nation, success, recognition. Each one trying to do the job that meaning once did. Each one saying, in its own way, "This is what matters. This is what you should live for." But something feels unstable. Because these new sources of meaning don't fully hold. They shift. They compete. They collapse under pressure. And so people drift between them, never fully anchored. You see it in the rise of anxiety, in the constant search for validation, in the way people build identities online and defend them like territory. Because when meaning is no longer given, it becomes something you must constantly maintain. And that is exhausting. Nietzsche saw this coming. He asked, "If we have removed the horizon, how will we orient ourselves?" That's not a philosophical question. That's a psychological one. Because without a shared horizon, everything becomes negotiable. Truth, morality, purpose. And when everything is negotiable, nothing feels solid. So people do something very human. They create smaller stories, and they hold on to them tightly. Sometimes too tightly. This is why modern conflicts often feel intense, even when the issues seem abstract. Because beneath the arguments, something deeper is at stake. Not just opinion, identity, meaning, the fear of falling into that vacuum. You can see the pattern clearly. The less stable the meaning, the more aggressively it is defended. Because if the story breaks, the self begins to shake. And here's the paradox. We call this era free. Free from old structures, free from imposed belief. But what this really means is, we are now responsible for meaning. And that is a burden we are still learning how Some try to go back, to rebuild old certainties exactly as they were. Others try to move forward, to create new forms of meaning. But many remain in between, aware that something is missing, but unsure what it is. So they keep moving, scrolling, consuming, searching, hoping something will finally feel real enough. But maybe the real question is not, what should we believe now? Maybe the real question is harder, more uncomfortable, more honest. If the old meaning is gone and the new meaning is unstable, are we ready to live without pretending that something else is holding everything together? Or will we keep building stories, not because they are true, but because we are afraid of what remains when they are gone?